to Confessions of a Lawyer. Every week I will confess on a legal topic. It's not a real confession, but it's just to give the public, yourselves, a bit of information from lawyer perspective. So it's called Confession of a Lawyer because it's giving information for free, essentially. This week I want to cover a topic, and this topic that I want to confess on is of the planned purchase. As you know, there's a lot of apartment buildings around Wellington or anywhere in New Zealand at the moment that are selling on the plans, which essentially means you're signing the contract and you don't know what it looks like. So you're buying it on the plans and based on what the developer tells you. Now, I know that you're going to get your lawyer to check the contract for you, but you really should have a little bit of background on the legal aspects of purchasing of a plan. So you really need to know about 3 things, and you need to ask those things to the agent who's selling it to you before you even get the contracts off to your lawyer to review in the more deep version. Now, the first thing you need to look at is the GST component. I know everyone's talking about tax, and it's quite a complex topic, and it's not really for me to talk about it, but I do want to let you know if the developer is a GST registered person, i.e. they are registered with GST, then if you're not, like average person, we won't be GST registered, then you need to make sure the purchase price, for example $800,000, is all you're going to pay. So the price should be $800,000 including GST. There are different ways of structuring it, and you always should be getting your accountant to look at it or get your lawyer to give you a bit more advice on it. But if 800,000 or 700,000 or 500,000, whatever the price that you negotiated is the final price that you want to buy, and you are contracting directly with the developer who is a GST registered person, then you want your price to be inclusive of GST. So that's very, very important, first point. And then usually we'll have on your front page of the agreement that will say the price inclusive or plus GST. You would always want to select inclusive GST, if any. If you're a natural person like myself who isn't registered for GST, it's a different story if you operate a business, but you should seek a bit further accounting advice on that. But the first point to look at is the price, and that's most important, including or excluding GST. If you're an ordinary person, definitely including, okay? Second point that you want to check is how is your deposit going to be paid and kept by the developer. Now, as you know, these things take ages to build. You know, it will take up to 2, sometimes 3 years to build, depending on the weather, shortage of material, labor, and all of that. So it's quite important for you to know that in the meantime, if you've paid your deposit, usually it's about 5 to 10% of the entire purchase price. So on $800,000 purchase price, you are paying 10%, so you'll be paying $80,000 to the developer. Now, you want to make sure that you can get it back if the developer actually goes into liquidation, go bust, or just ran out of money and ran away. Okay, how do we ensure that? You want to make sure that the deposit is paid to the developer's lawyer's trust account and will sit there until settlement. I'll just repeat that again. So you want to make sure your deposit sits in your developer's trust account until such time that you're ready to settle, until settlement. Why is that? Just in case everything go bust, you can get it back. That's simple as that. Keep your money in the trust away from all this, and you can get it back if it was unlawfully cancelled by the developer, or the developer company goes into liquidation, goes into a receivership. You can actually get your money back because that money, that deposit, is sitting in there on trust for you. Now, you might have to tell your lawyer to look at that specifically in the contract to make sure the wording is worded in your favor. Just make sure that is checked by your lawyer. The third most important thing is that you need to have a sunset clause. Now, sunset clauses are really, really important. Now, usually in your contract, it will say The settlement day will be, like 5 working days after title is issued, after the co-compliance certificate has been issued by the council, and that's when you will settle, because it's hard to project into an actual date of settlement. So your lawyer or us will require settlement to happen when we get a copy of the title, so that your name can be registered on the title to the property, and when we get a copy of the co-compliance certificate, among other things. So co-compliance certificates are those things that the council issues to say, hey, this building has been built in accordance with consent, it's been checked every stage, from laying the foundation right through to the completion of the construction. It's all good to go, all good to for people to live in, and it's all been built in accordance with the building code. So we need that before we settle. So if that is the case, settlements way down the track, that's 12 months, 9 to 12 months is the usual building time, but sometimes it can take up to 2 years to get it built, to get to that stage where co-compliance certificate is issued. Then you want to make sure what happens if settlement never occurs. So for example, you just waited and waited and waited and waited, and there was no CCC and there's no title. You want to get your deposit back at that point. Your bottom line date is that you can't wait beyond this date. Then you want to be able to cancel the contract and get your deposit back. Now, having a sunset clause will give you the entitlement, give you the control to cancel the contract, but you don't have to cancel if you don't want to. So that gives you the power to give the developer a kick on his behind, to say, hey, let's get this thing going. If you don't get this thing done by a certain date, then we'll cancel out of it. So that's given you a right to cancel out of the agreement. Say, for example, if the developer told you it will be done next year in September, and you have set everything around that day, you cannot wait until December next year to settle. Then you'll need to have a sunset clause to that date, that December date, so that if on December 2020 you still don't get your co-compliance certificate, you still don't get your title, developer can't settle, then you're able to say to them, look, I want to cancel, I'll get my deposit back, and any interest in your trust account accumulated during that time for 2 years, or for 1 year or whatever, I want my deposit and my interest back. At least you get your money back, and you can cancel out of the agreement and put it towards some other opportunities. So those 3 things just giving you some main points about off the plan purchase and what you need to look out for. And specifically, your lawyers will need to check those clauses for you. And because your lawyer's going to check everything for you, you do need to understand why they're checking it, and this is the point of the video. So hopefully this confession helps you quite a bit in terms of the plan purchase. Any questions, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, WeChat, and other forum as well, and you can go on to our website. All these will appear on our website as well. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.